Hello everyone! We made our way to Draenor, and on this planet there are 7 warlords. Who are they? What's their story on this Iron Horde Draenor, and what do we know about them from our timeline? Once again, a big thank you for the people at Final Boss for helping me out with additional information. Keep in mind that some of these warlords have a very big story behind them, and they will get their own video in the future. For now, let's just cover the basics and find out what we know about these warlords. Grommash Hellscream of the Warsong clan, father of Garrosh, located in Nagrand. Grom Hellscream is probably the most popular and commonly known warlord. Grom from our time was the first who stepped up when Gul'dan offered the orcs a drink to increase their power. He was the one most eager to go to battle, no matter what battle it was. His war cry is fitting for his name, and his weapon Gorhal sings as it strikes in battle. He was not a part of the first Horde invasion, but he was there when they came back for the second time to collect artifacts for Ner'zhul. He, together with Rexxar and others, held the Dark Portal on the Alliance side as others made their way through Azeroth. When Khadgar was forced to close the Dark Portal, Grom and the others were locked out and had to stay behind on Azeroth. After around 20 years, Thrall comes into the picture, and Grom Hellscream was the first orc that Thrall got a chance to talk to after escaping from Durnhold. 20 years of demon blood pumping in Grom's veins had changed him from a hothead, all about fighting and warmongering, to someone who could agree with Thrall's notion of peace and negotiation. He helped Thrall to liberate the other orcs from the internment camps and the reforging of this new horde. Even after all these years, he still took a big gulp of demon blood back in Warcraft 3, knowing what it would do with them. It was thanks to Jaina Proudmoore, Thrall and some others that he regained his senses, and in the end he managed to land the killing blow and set his people free from their slavery to the demons by killing Manoroth.
Thrall, the blood haze has lifted. The demon's fire has burnt out in my veins. I have freed myself.
On this Iron Horde Draenor, Grom is going to be the one who will unite the clans into the Iron Horde. He is a rockstar, kicking ass, taking names, but he is going to have anger issues. This Grom never had that journey that ours had, so the Grom that you, me, Thrall and even Garrosh remembers might turn out to be just a little bit too hot-headed. They also said, will the anger get the best of him? I would bank on it, so it will be very interesting to see how they're going to do his story. Will his anger once again make him fall, or is he going to learn how to deal with it? And will they be able to keep that picture that people have of Grom Hellscream, that hero, that ultimate orc? Will they do it justice, or will people hate what they're going to do with him? Will be very interesting to see. Durotan of the Frost Wolf clan, Thrall's father, located in Frostfire Ridge. Durotan from our time was one of the orcs who was not happy with the events that unfolded on Draenor. He was not happy with finding the Draenei, especially since they saved his life and orc and Draenei lived peacefully together for many years. So he didn't embrace the idea of waging war with them as much as the other orcs did. He was against the demonic powers offered by Gul'dan. He refused to drink from the blood of Manoroth, and he was the one who went to Orgrim Doomhammer on Azeroth and told him about Gul'dan's betrayal. This act eventually cost him his life, because Gul'dan had sent assassins to kill him, but he did stood up against him, did let his voice be heard as all around him his brothers fell to the demonic corruption. He was one of the few orcs that had the balls to actually stand up and say something against this, that this was not their way. On this Iron Horde Draenor, Durotan's people rejected the Iron Horde's call for Orcish unity to focus on their own survival. They moved to Frostfire Ridge, and there they battle with the Thunderlord clan and the ogres who are inside the Bladespire fortress. As they presented Durotan, they asked the question, will he join the Iron Horde this time, since they are no longer influenced by demons? But later they said that he's going to be part of Team Future Horde and that they're going to be part of their starting area. He is the only Orcish warlord that's confirmed to be on our side. They also asked the question, was Durotan a noble dude at heart, or did the situation turn him into this noble dude? It will be very interesting to find out. Ner'zhul of the Shadowmoon clan, located in Shadowmoon Valley. Ner'zhul from our time played a huge part in the story of Warcraft. He was the one who first got in contact with Kil'jaeden, and Kil'jaeden manipulated him into forming the first horde and kill all the Draenor. Ner'zhul would eventually find out that Kil'jaeden was just using them, but by that time it was already far too late, and his apprentice Gul'dan was happy to step in and follow the orders of Kil'jaeden. Ner'zhul didn't do much to prevent any further corruption of his people, because he feared Kil'jaeden and he feared for his own life. He did send a note to Durotan to prevent him from drinking the demon blood, but that's about it. When the first horde invasion of Azeroth failed, Terran Gornfiend stepped up to Ner'zhul with a plan to create more portals to different worlds. They failed to conquer Azeroth, but other planets might not put up so much resistance, and Ner'zhul was all behind this plan. They gathered 3 artifacts from Azeroth, and in the end Ner'zhul made his portal. Not just one portal, portals all over Draenor, and he told the orcs who were with him to step through the portal and follow him to the promised land. The remaining horde was still fighting the alliance at this time, and the others didn't want to leave their brothers behind. Ner'zhul killed one of them to get them motivated, and they reluctantly stepped through the portal to this unknown destination. Unknown to Ner'zhul though, this portal would not lead him to the promised land, it would lead him straight to Kil'jaeden, who still had some unfinished business with the orc who refused to follow his orders. He ripped Ner'zhul his soul in little pieces, causing agonizing pain, only to reform it and do it all over again. After a while, Kil'jaeden got bored with this, and he came up with a new plan that would require Ner'zhul to be turned into the Lich King, and he would be sent off to Azeroth to weaken it and get it ready for a new invasion from the Burning Legion. After that, the events of Warcraft 3 follow, which is too much story to go into right now, but that's pretty much the backstory of Ner'zhul. On this Iron Horde Draenor, Ner'zhul is leading the Shadowmoon clan, and it's interesting to note that his description on the website says the following. His vision of a united orcish culture has been eclipsed by the manipulation of his apprentice Gul'dan, and the bloody reality of the rising Iron Horde. If I read this right, it almost seems like he was busy getting the horde together, like we know from our timeline, like Kil'jaeden found the Draenor, wanted them dead, manipulated Ner'zhul into forming the horde. Gul'dan betrayed him, and it looks like the same events are going to take place for this Iron Horde Draenor, except this time they don't drink any blood. That's just my interpretation, you could take this in a lot of ways, but what we know for sure is that Ner'zhul wants to be in this Iron Horde. He wants to be part of this, and it matches the Ner'zhul that we knew. Sure, he was manipulated by Kil'jaeden, but he had a little lust for power inside of him, and in the end, he betrayed all the other orcs. It will be interesting to see what this Ner'zhul is going to do to be worthy of this Iron Horde, and they described him as the shaman to the shamans, as in, you might be a good shaman, this guy is the top dog. Gul'dan of the Storm Reaver clan, also located in Shadowmoon Valley. In our timeline, Gul'dan was the one who led the orcs down the path of demon blood, fell magic, and he didn't give a crap about his people. All he cared about was power. Power and even more power. When Ner'zhul figured out that Kil'jaeden was manipulating the orcs, he wanted out. Gul'dan was the apprentice of Ner'zhul. He found out about Ner'zhul wanted to stop all these events, and he took Ner'zhul his place in following the orders of Kil'jaeden. Kil'jaeden promised Gul'dan the good life, powers beyond his imagination, but once the orcs fulfilled their mission, killed nearly all the Draenor, Kil'jaeden just left them to their fate. It was at that moment that Medivh, under the influence of Sargeras, contacted Gul'dan and told him about Azeroth and how to build a portal to it. The Horde invades, and Gul'dan decides to spy in the mind of Medivh in search of more power. Unfortunately, at that moment Medivh gets killed because his friends found out that he was corrupted, and this put Gul'dan into a coma. In the meantime, Durotan informs Orgrim Doomhammer about Gul'dan's betrayal, and Orgrim steps up. He takes out Blackhand and becomes the war chief of the Horde. Now Gul'dan's in trouble, but he manages to convince Orgrim to keep him alive, and in exchange he creates more powerful ogres. Ogre Magi even. In the end, Gul'dan's lust for power would strike a devastating blow to the first Horde invasion. As they march to lay siege to the capital of Lordaeron, Gul'dan takes his troops and sets off to the tomb of Sargeras in search of more power. Orgrim Doomhammer, hell-bent on keeping the honor in the Horde and making an example of those who don't uphold that honor, is forced to send troops after Gul'dan. This forces the Horde to fall back, and eventually they would be defeated. Gul'dan's fate was sealed though when he entered the tomb of Sargeras, as the demons there took great pleasure in killing this treacherous orc. However, That wasn't the last time we saw Gul'dan. Even his skull manipulated events and allowed the Horde to invade for a second time, and eventually giving Illidan the power needed to take out Tichondrius in Warcraft 3. Some of you already noticed that Gul'dan still has a green skin. On this Iron Horde Draenor, Gul'dan is going to be the only one who drinks the demon juice, and as he offers it to the others, events don't go as planned. Garrosh prevents the orcs from drinking, and this places Gul'dan in a very awkward position. He's an outcast now of the Horde, so his Shadow Council, the construction of the Dark Portal, all of those plans are a no-go. Gul'dan is not happy with that, and neither is Kil'jaeden. Yes, Gul'dan and Kil'jaeden are still on the phone with each other, and that should lead to some very interesting story development. If they do it right, Gul'dan's character should be manipulative, backstabbing, and willing to do anything to get to that power. It's interesting that Gul'dan is located in Shadowmoon Valley together with Ner'zhul and his clan, and even the Draenei and the Alliance main city. I wonder how that's going to play out. Blackhand of the Blackrock clan located in Gorgrond. Blackhand from our time was the very first war chief of the Horde, but in reality he was a puppet of Gul'dan who ruled behind the curtains. When the orcs started to magically age their children to get more troops, Blackhand was one of the first to offer his kids, and this created some messed up adults with the mind of children. It was Blackhand who led the Horde into their first invasion of Azeroth, but later Gul'dan's betrayal would be known to Orgrim Doomhammer, and Orgrim was the second in command to Blackhand, and he killed Blackhand to take the title of War Chief and lead the orcs down a more honorable path. You can still fight a child of Blackhand in Upper Blackrock Spire, located in Blackrock Mountain. People already asked me if this clan was named after the mountain or the mountain after the clan, but this is not the case. Both of them already had their names, and Blackhand just saw it as a good omen that they shared a common name. Blackhand and his clan on the Iron Horde Draenor are the backbone of the Iron Horde. Now that Gul'dan isn't manipulating him, Blackhand is a more honest orc. He and his clan are the smiths, and they are the ones who took Garrosh's blueprints of the future and turned them into weapons for the Iron Horde. One of the raids that we're going to get is called Blackrock Foundry, where we are going to dismantle this foundry of weapons and armor creation, and in the end we'll face off against Blackhand himself. Kargath of the Shattered Hand clan, located in Spires of Arak. Kargath from our time has a pretty interesting story. In the time period where Ner'zhul is trying to make all these new portals, Kargath was left behind to stall the Alliance who were trying to stop Ner'zhul. This allowed Ner'zhul to make his way to the Black Temple, but in the end Kargath would realize that he was left to die, so he took his people to Nagrand to regroup and find more troops to battle the Alliance. There he asked Great Mother Gaia if there were any able orcs in the area to fight with them. But Gaia wasn't happy with everything that happened to the orcs. The formation of the Horde, the corruption of the planet, the use of demonic powers, and she thought that the Alliance invading their planet was their own damn fault. She told him to look around and see that these orcs were sick and not able to fight. To Kargath, they seemed to have all their limbs required, and as long as they could hold a weapon, that would do. At that moment, one orc, sick with rat pox, walks up to them and asks what Kargath is doing here. Did something happen to his father? And as he was talking, he fell over and started to puke out blood. Young Grommash Hellscream was not able to join the war effort because he was sick. But Kargath realized that these orcs would be of no use. "You pathetic weaklings," he snarled. "Do the Horde a favor and die here. If you can't help defend your people, you have no right to live." Nice going, Kargath. Thanks for messing up Garrosh like that for us. And over time, Kargath would serve Manoroth and later serve Illidan. You can still fight him in the shattered halls of Hellfire Citadel. Kargath on this Iron Horde Draenor got enslaved by ogres to work in the mines, but one day he had enough. He used his own chains to strangle one of the ogres, and then he cuts off his own hand to set himself free. After that, he turns around to the others and asks who's next, and they're all like, "We're with you, man," so they all escape from those mines, and this clan is formed by many different clans, who were all enslaved, and it's a very dark and pain-minded clan. Many more followed his example of cutting off a body part and replacing it with some kind of weapon, and they don't mind inflicting some of that pain on their enemies. Kilrogg of the Bleeding Hollow clan, located in Tanaan jungle. In our timeline, Kilrogg was at the front of the war. He was one of the first to drink from the demon blood, he was there during the first invasion, and he was there when the Horde attacked for the second time to collect the artifacts Ner'zhul required to make his portals. Despite that, Kilrogg was an older chieftain, and with age comes wisdom, so he was more unwilling to just throw away lives for the war. To compare that to someone, Kilrogg didn't mind fighting, but he wasn't a Grommash Hellscream. He wasn't all about Loktarogar, let's go fight stuff and doesn't matter what happens. He was older, he was wiser, he was Grum as we met him later when he teams up with Thrall. Anyways, that's besides the point. The younger orcs, they saw this as a weakness, which caused Kilrogg to kill at least 3 of his own sons and 2 of his grandsons, who thought they could rule the clan better than him. Orcish rules, man. If you want to rule the clan, you gotta take out the war chief, which Thrall has changed of course, but those orcish rules are pretty damn brutal. Eventually, Kilrogg would join Ner'zhul and Teron Gornfiend as they made their way to the Black Temple to start creating these portals. Right behind them were the Alliance forces, so they made their way to Auchindoun, despite Kilrogg his fears. Don't make the mistake of thinking that he was a coward. Auchindoun is just a very scary place, and Kilrogg believed that going there would mean their doom. Eventually, he managed to stall the Alliance forces, allowing Ner'zhul and Teron Gornfiend to escape and continue their journey to the Black Temple. It was there, in the Shadow Labyrinth, that Kilrogg lost his life by the hands of Danav Trollbane. On this Iron Horde Draenor, the Bleeding Hollow clan is a very shamanistic clan, but also a very tribal one. They live in the jungle, they're kinda out of their mind, and the shamanism that they practice is much more dark and savage. They have a ritual that each new war chief goes through, and this ritual was described as being in a Blair Witch cave, all gruesome stuff around them, and they would gouge out their own eye to receive a vision of their death. And this vision would influence, dictate how they rule the clan for the rest of their life. Pretty damn messed up. Also, fun fact, the warlock spell Eye of Kilrogg is named after this Kilrogg. For now, that's enough information on these 7 warlords. Keep in mind that there are more clans on Draenor, like the Magna Fall clan, Rexarch's clan, or the Thunderlord clan, the one the Frostwolves are fighting. But they didn't just get a place on this fantastic 7 team, but what their story might be and what else we might see, that's what we're going to talk about next time. For now, thank you very much for watching everyone. If you have any questions, let me know. And until next time guys, see ya!
Our bond is iron, our will unbreakable. Who will stand against us?